I'm here, Chair.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Just bear with me 1 moment, Chair.
Can people put people's cameras on when they're talking in Cabinet, please? Right, you're with there.
Hear me, you see me?
And we can see you.
Okay, thank you very much. Look, I'm really grateful that we heard from everybody, the members of the public, the members from Frome Town Council. I note their remarks about their involvement in Richard and Jonathan's response, and our colleagues from Scrutiny who have caused us to look at this again. And we've heard an awful lot about people who live in houses, and an awful lot about the ecology, and an awful lot about what our corporate priorities are. In fact, we've not heard a lot. We've heard a bit about our corporate priorities. I also wanted to introduce a couple of facts to this discussion, and maybe Richard can comment on them as well if he wishes to. The facts are that there, as Richard alluded to on Home Search, there's about 2,000 people looking for a home in our area, in our county and within the district. And people talk about empty homes, and the question, and I'm going to ask a number of questions, but they're going to be rhetorical because I'm going to give you the answers. People have asked, what about all these open, empty homes? And I did a bit of looking on this, and there are 156 empty homes in the entire district, to put that into context. What is the council doing about this? Well, we are now making these people with empty homes pay a premium of 100% on their council tax. We are doubling the council tax on any empty homes so that homes don't go as empty and don't sit there unused. The next question, and I'm very grateful to one of my and our Frome colleagues who we talked a lot about birds, bees and trees, but I wanted to talk about a gentleman called Miley Porritt. You might want to write this name down. Porritt, P-O-R-R-I-T-T. He's 23, and he's a former resident of the YMCA hostel in Mendip, and he spent 5 years rough sleeping. Now, he's in the news because he's actually got a home temporarily. It's in the private sector. He lives in Frome, and what he's doing at the moment, he set himself up in an ironing business of all things. And he has had no customers due to COVID. So instead what he has done is he is now ironing what are called these, when you run a marathon, you're surrounded in a blanket which is made of tin to insulate you. He's actually ironing crisp packets together to make these blankets for people who are rough sleeping. Because we still have people rough sleeping or sleeping in substandard accommodation, whether they be farm workers in caravans or rough sleeping. I know we've done a lot to bring our rough sleepers in, but that's what he is doing. And one of the councillors contacted me with my finance hat on because of the business grants and so on, and said, can we do something to help Mr. Porritt? And my reply was, which is what we're looking at tonight, yes we can. We can give him a home. That's what we can do to help people like that. And that's what the purpose of this is. So I think what we're looking at in principle here tonight is, in principle, are we in favour of social housing or not? Because the choice was, this land was put forward for these grants by the previous administration, and the choice was probably to sell this land as an asset onward and use the money to stopgap our budgetary gap, or alternatively for us to make sure the land that we have is used either in an environmental way, and I take all those points on board, or in a way for social good, which is through social housing. I think there are some very valid points in the actual paper presented towards us for us to have a pause, because I think when new evidence and new facts come to mind, and when situations change, you change your mind. And the one thing I think people mentioned here tonight was unitary and the time scale that we were working to. And I understand, Roz, and it's either a question for you or for Richard, I believe the time scale has changed in terms of the urgency and the pressingness of this, in terms of what the decision-making framework is, and we have a little bit more time. I believe that's the situation. And I just want to check if that is the case and what we can do with that sort of information. And then secondly, going back to the empty homes, I'm right in thinking, Richard, even if we filled every single empty home, we would still have a housing crisis and still have a housing problem.
Yep.
So
yep.
I think you should go back. Everybody in this room has talked about everything. Think about Mr. Porritt and think about how we can help those who don't have a home and those who feel excluded, because they're not here at this meeting tonight. And that's all I'm going to say.
And I read an article